The first person probably was my father, who got me interested in giving. He did not have a lot of money, but I remember that in his, when they would budget, he took 10% out to the church right away. And then he budgeted how much money for the family to live on. And so that giving always impressed me. And he gave more service and things that he did in the community than actual financials. But that was my beginning.
Yeah, I guess my father would be the same, Elsie.
Yeah.
He grew up and not much money, but a country lawyer, and everybody knew him, and he did a lot of really great things for the community and for people. And I guess that was sort of a example that I've always tried to follow.
And he would be paid by chickens and Christmas trees and things like that rather than
sometimes
money.
We'd get several Christmas trees and Thanksgiving 3 or 4 turkeys. Well, he was primarily a real estate kind of broker, and so got into a few small criminal cases, but typically, you know, wills and deeds and things of that nature. Did a lot of his own surveying because they were expensive, and he had a surveying certificate, but would share this information with his friends, the farmers, so when they could pay him, it was paid in kind rather than in money. So we had a lot of ongoing relationships. It was fun and nice to see.
Backing up on my father too, what he did in the community, which always I thought was really, really neat. He would run for little offices, they were important offices, and for Board of Education and Town Planner, but he would run on both the Republican and Democratic ticket because everybody loved him. And you know, he was just the one that everybody put up. They would call him in to arbitrate when they were having problems with things, and he just had a way of listening to people and getting people to talk it out between themselves. That was impressive.
Great, that's great. I guess I got mostly interested, other than the church, of course, as you grew up, that was part of your life. But when I went to college, I didn't have much money, and I had several jobs in college and sort of worked my way through. I sold floor brushes and stationery and beer mugs and everything else you can think of. But I've always thought that college was a great thing for me. I felt it always sort of saved my life and put me on a different track. So I've always been very generous to the college and helpful as far as fundraising. So that's where I got really started. And then, of course, Hartford Foundation was the natural follow-on with that because my aunt and uncle were here, and I got involved with you good people. So that was it.
And I guess what pushed me to really want to give more financially was receiving a gift from an aunt one time, and it was completely unexpected. And I remember what she wrote in the card was, I've been blessed and I want to share my blessings. And I thought that was wonderful. And I remember taking that and saying, all right, I'm going to keep half for myself, but that other half I'm going to share with someone else. And that is the thing that really got us started, I think. And since then we've tried to do that over and over, and see what we can do to share.
I guess we both thought that the more we give, the more we get, in a way.
It happens.
It just happens.
I don't know why, but you never miss what you give.
Yeah.
We always have more than we need. Well, what makes me really want to give back to the greater Hartford community is that there are an awful lot of needs all over in the whole world. But I feel that God has placed me here. And so I look around what is around my area and where I am, and I see the need. And this is where I feel that I want to help mostly.
I guess pretty much the same thing, Elsie. I get really so discouraged when I see so many young people that can't make it. You know, you hear the stories that if you're not a third grade level reading, 70% of you don't get out of high school, and so many people incarcerated, and it's because of home environments, single parents, a lot of problems. But I think one of the wonderful things about Hartford Foundation is they've stepped up to that with early learning situations and helping people, and I'm so thankful that they're doing this. in this community, in areas. So it's nice, yeah.
And I think that's where I really like to see, I think the money goes the best is helping people to help themselves. So when you give to somebody to help educate them how to work a checkbook, how to get some kind of training so that they can get a job, people want to be able to do it for themselves. And so if we have any finances that can go to help people get on their own in our area, it'll be good for everybody.
It's the old story about give them a fish for a day or teach them to fish and they have a life. You know, so you've heard it many times. Well, I heard about the foundation through my aunt and uncle, the Roses, who we're very close with. And of course they started, I guess, with a Talcott Mountain School, is that the right name? And they were offering scholarships up there. And then they've made a couple of contributions, pretty sizable ones, to the Hartford Foundation since then. But I've always been terribly impressed with the management of the Hartford Foundation. You know, Linda Kelly currently is the president, but she does such a great job. She's spoken to a group I belong to, the Old Guard, and it's just a very professionally run group, and I feel so good about that.
Well, right now, you and I,
Yeah.
with our foundation, interact with Maggie Willard, and
Yeah.
she's been an absolutely wonderful help
She's wonderful,
to us,
really.
for us. Yeah.
But I think everybody in the staff down there, you call and they seem to know who you are and they put you through and they answer the phone. Nice to have you call, Mr. Harp. It makes you feel good, like you're part of the team.
And it's wonderful to have one person who is who you're used to working with, and not being shifted to somebody else, or someone else has that account now. It's just really a nice personal relationship to have one person at the foundation who knows what we want to do with our funds, and when something comes up, an opportunity that seems like this is the kind of thing that Elwyn and Elsie would like to do, she'll call and we'll say, wow, this is just exactly what we want to have happen.
We really, I think, Elsie, we follow up more of their suggestions than we come up with new ideas of our own.
Yeah.
I guess they're always good suggestions.
But when we do have a suggestion too, either, you know, we ask them, what do you know about this organization? And if it's one that they're very familiar with, it's it's wonderful. Or they look into it and see who this is.
The one thing I really appreciate is the foundation writes a letter to the recipient and suggests they thank us, and they do. But it you know, it's one of those things that you like to be not necessarily thanked for what you do, but thanked for thinking of them. And that's very important to us. West Hartford Cares, for instance, we get a nice letter back that thank you, and gosh, all of these, everyone sends a thank you, and I can't think of others right now. Open Hearth, Fidelco, VNA, you know, and that's just a smattering of those. And we made donations to churches and food banks and so forth. You know, you feel like you're part of a team. You don't feel like you're an individual contributor that sends something in or says, yeah, I want the money to go here or there. You really feel like there's a lot of people involved, and I think particularly when you have your meetings and so forth, you get it's a great feeling to be among people. We're proud to be part of it, frankly.
And the growth of the fund, I think, in a very big part, is the way the Hartford Foundation manages the money. And so it's nice to know that we can put a little money in here with the Hartford Foundation, and they will be responsible managers. And as it grows, we are able to give more and send more and more out into the community. And that's exactly what we want our money to be doing. Personally, I can't think of anything the foundation can do any better than they're doing right now. I'm very pleased with what happens to the money that is given to the Hartford Foundation as it grows, and then as we're allowed to give as much as we can give every year from its proceeds, that it can go out into the community.
I would agree with that. They're very professional. I'm a little bit involved with fundraising with my college, and I'm always saying, you know, how can we make that grow? And I'd like to see Hartford Foundation be known more. I know you do a great job with publicity, but I certainly have talked with people about it, and perhaps have encouraged people to go to you good people to do what we're talking about today. So I think just get bigger. course, the old guard in West Hartford is a bunch of old guys like myself that get dressed up once a week and have great meetings and great speakers. It's got great comradeship, and we do a lot of good things with the YMCA, for instance. We represent about 40% of the West Hartford budget with our giving and involvement and so forth, and I think that's good. But I just feel good about trying to help people, whether it's the church or whether it's the Hartford Foundation, the Y or whatever. I've always been pretty involved with things, and I love it. I just like people, and that's my feeling.
Like a lot of my volunteer work is through the church. A lot of it is, and reaching out to people in the community and in the church. But the other organization that I'm active in is the West Hartford Garden Club, which is known as the Working Garden Club. We have to do certain volunteer jobs, and we work like going to a nursing home and doing flower arranging with the residents, helping prepare with residents at the Elmwood, the housing, Elmwood housing place. I can't remember the name right now, over in Elmwood. And we've helped out schools don't have the budget to do flowers and maybe plantings around. So we've done that. We've done different things in the town to make it more beautiful. So I spent a lot of time doing that. Working at the Noah Webster House. Yeah. There are just a lot of jobs to do. I love to garden, and so this is a way I can go out and garden, not only for myself, but for the town and the community.
You're a busy lady, I know that.
And it's really interesting how when, just in casual conversation, one of our children will say something that they've done, and I realize, wow, they're really supporting that particular organization or that group. And every single one of our children is involved in some giving in some way or another. And I think it would just be by example.
Yeah. I think one thing, when we are able to share some money with them, for instance, we always suggest that part of that be used for other than their own purpose. But I think the other thing, Elsie, is that we've been very upfront with them with finances and all, and we have 6 children. We're trying to be very equal to each of them, and they know that. They know there's no secrets what we want to do and what we do, and we try to use that as an example. I know so many times there's fractions within families, and we try to avoid that. We're very proud of the fact they all seem to get along pretty well, and we're pleased about that.
Every year we look, and all of a sudden we realize, gosh, we should check and see how much money do we have that we can, help get out into the community. And sometimes we have gone to the foundation saying, golly, tell me about this particular organization. It sounds like it's really good. And the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving will say, yeah, we're very familiar with that, and that's a wonderful organization. So we will allot so much money, so many funds to that. Or Maggie Willard has this, I guess Maggie Willard, but the Hartford Foundation has the Express, Grants Express. And when that comes through, we look and see, and when something really hits us, we say, oh gosh, this is a wonderful project, and we call and just get some of the funding going to that.
We have probably,
speak to the
this gift annuity you were talking about. We've done several of those with people that we care about, and frankly, there's a little bit of selfishness there. It's a great return for your money. You get a tax break, and you know the money's going to go where you will want it to go anyhow after you're gone, and you're taking advantage of it in a sense. And I think it's a wonderful idea, and I talk to people, frequently about that, either my college classmates or people at church or what have you, and it's a great way to get the money to go where you want it to go and benefit from it in the meantime.
Yeah, annuities seem to be a really wonderful way to get that money out into wherever you want it to go eventually anyway, and then to get that little benefit of and a little income along the way too.
I've always felt that I want something to be there after we're not there. You've all heard the story about the guy that plants the tree that knows full well he'll never sit under its shade. Well, we plant trees every place we go. I'm a tree planter, and we've provided through the foundation, West Hartford, with a lot of elm trees, for instance, and things of that nature. I think that's so important because it's a legacy that lives on, and other people will enjoy them. And that's one of my favorite things.
Well, one of the things I wanted to do is to give back to a community that has given me so much. We are very fortunate to live in a very wonderful area. There are just many, many benefits to being in this greater Hartford area. And one time I remember hearing that, and some philosopher from a long time ago said, if you have more than you need, then you have someone else's. And we certainly have more than we need. And so that's where I thought I really wanted to start giving back to my community, because there are other people who could use some of our extra.
I don't know if your good work is really out in the community with the people that receive the funds. I think that's something that you might want to take a look at a little bit more of. Here's what we've done to help people. It doesn't mean that to send your application in, but I think it's a wonderful organization, and I think if you get more to the people that receive the benefits, you also help those who give the benefits to be more giving, if you would. And that would be my only critique. I want to make sure that the recipients know as much about your good work as the people that provide it. Make it worthwhile, for instance. I think it's important. I know that it's a little aside, but West Hartford provides this HANIC program over in the Elmwood area. And they teach people not only how to fill out applications, but what a checking account can be for them rather than having their state checks cashed for a 2% fee, which is crazy. Kids come in there after school for a snack and can be tutored because many of them are single parent families. And it just makes me feel good to see something like that that's helping the people that really need it. And that's my little take on that, I guess.
I can't think of what I would like to see, what more I would like to see from the Hartford Foundation, because I've wanted to be able to give to the community, give financially, and yet I don't know who is the best organization or how's the best way to do this. But I love the way the Hartford Foundation does it, and so I just would much rather just give them the finances and ask them to please help me distribute this as best we can. So I think